I'm hopeful. I don't call it optimism. I'm hopeful we can find a way forward. It's very difficult.
All right, thank you.
See what happens.
Thank you, everyone.
And so began day 2 of talks in Vienna to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict in Syria. Tensions over the Middle Eastern state have risen following Russia's intervention in the form of a bombing campaign targeting opponents of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. At the talks in Vienna were the foreign ministers of Russia, the US, France, Germany and Britain, among others. Opinions differ, but at least for Paris, the goal is clear. France's position is well known. We want a free Syria, a Syria which has its full integrity, where all members of society can leave freely. In order to achieve this, and right now there is a terrible war going on, important changes are needed. First, we have to fight even more against terrorists from Daesh and Jabhat al-Nusra. Then we must organize a political transition, and of course, Mr. Bashar al-Assad, who is responsible for a large part of the Syrian drama, can't be considered as Syria's future. He can no longer be in power. Calls for Assad to leave and questions over Moscow's support for the Syrian leader are likely only to grow following the appearance of this video on social media. It purports to show the aftermath of a missile strike by the Syrian government on a marketplace in the town of Douma near Damascus. At least 40 people were killed and about 100 wounded, a conflict monitor and a local rescue group have said. All the while, a Russian aerial campaign to back up Assad's forces continues. Prior to the latest talks in Vienna, US Secretary of State John Kerry underlined what most already knew. Moscow's aim is not to fight terrorism.
Contrary to the claims of officials in Moscow, it has to be underscored that most of the strikes thus far have been directed not against Daesh, but against the opponents of the Assad regime. So that is not, in our view, the way to try to bring the war to a close.
Russia's foreign policy aims remain a source of debate. For the last 18 months in East Ukraine, Russian forces have been backing up local insurgents fighting the Ukrainian government. But lately, the guns have fallen silent. The relative calm here has closely coincided with the start of Moscow's intervention in Syria. That's something which experts believe is not a coincidence. Involvement in 2 foreign wars at the same time is not something the Kremlin can afford. But be it the Middle East or Eastern Europe, analysts say Russian President Putin is pursuing the same goals, namely putting his country back on the geopolitical map and winning plaudits at home.
During those first 2 terms as president, he delivered spectacularly on that. When he returned to the presidency in 2012, the economic situation for Russia was far more complex. And you, I believe, saw then a change in that narrative. No longer based on economics, it's now based on Russian nationalism, restoration of Russia as a great power, Russia matters in the world.
Back in Vienna, everything is on the table. After 4 years of civil war in Syria, talks over the Middle Eastern state appear to be no longer just about resolving the conflict. Just as important is the jockeying for power and influence as the world's old and new peacemakers stake their claims to be leading the international order.